Hey everyone, welcome back. You guys, today we have a true crime video and I don't have food today, and I hope that's okay because some days, believe it or not, I just don't feel like eating. I don't know if you guys have days like that, but instead I thought that I would just enjoy a nice hot cup of tea and then just kind of have a cozy background, and hopefully that'll be enough for you guys to get comfortable. Let me know if you guys are perfectly fine just enjoying a hot beverage and listening to true crime, or if you really do need that like visual of food. I can definitely work something out. So comment below, please let me know. If you're new here, my name is Kina, and every Saturday I upload true crime videos, and every Monday I upload relaxing cake videos. This is just a time for us to hang out after a long day of work or school. Just come home, kick your shoes off, let your hair down, and just get comfortable. We have a good time here. We're going to be discussing the case of Ariel Castro, and this one was just so fascinating because it kind of hits home as far as all your childhood nightmares of your parents telling you, don't walk by yourself, use the buddy system, don't get into strangers' cars. And the way that all of this happened is just mind-blowing. It's something to listen to. So let's just get started. Let me take my tea bag out because I think it has steeped enough. I like to steep my tea for like 3 or 4 minutes, so that's nice and bold. Let's stick that on that tray. So first I'm going to tell you who Ariel Castro is, give you a little bit of background on him. I'm going to let you know who the 3 girls are who were abducted, and then I'll let you know what they went through, what happened to Castro, and what happened to these ladies. So Ariel Castro is a man. He was born in Puerto Rico, July 10th of 1960. His parents divorced when he was young, and his mother took him and all of his siblings to Pennsylvania, and then they soon moved to Cleveland, Ohio. Ariel had a pretty normal childhood. He was very much into music, as a lot of Puerto Ricans are. Let me not compare myself to him. I believe he played the bass, but his friends and family said that he was very gifted in music. He joined quite a few bands, starting in middle school. And then he graduated from Lincoln West High School in 1979. Ariel met his girlfriend early 1980s when her family moved across the street from his family. Once they started actually dating, they lived with his parents, they lived with her parents, they kind of bounced back and forth. But then they got their own place. It was 1992, and it was in a very modest part of Cleveland. They purchased a 2-story home. It had 4 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, I believe. Now, this girlfriend's name was Gramilda, which sounds really bad in English, but is really pretty in Spanish. So Gramilda had a sister that said all hell broke loose once Ariel and Gramilda moved into their own home. He began to hit her, and the abuse just got worse and worse. He broke her nose, her arm, a rib. It was really bad. Gramilda's sister and brother-in-law also stated that she ended up getting some sort of blood clot, which ended up being a brain tumor later on from getting hit in the head so much. Ariel threw her down a flight of stairs. The beatings were really bad. That next year in 1993, Ariel was arrested for domestic violence, but like in many situations, the spouse doesn't press charges and nothing comes from it. In case you guys are wondering, this mug says grateful. I purchased it at Target. It was on sale for $5. Gray is my favorite color, so I just love how it's white on the outside and gray on the inside. Run to Target. They're everywhere. By 1996, Ariel and Gramilda had 4 children total. Gramilda took the kids and moved out of the home. She was trying to get away and wanted to start a new life. Gramilda's sister says that Ariel would still come over, harassing her, he would still hit her, and he would even take the children, which would really scare Gramilda because she didn't know when she'd be getting them back. And you guys know how things can get ugly when it comes to custody of the kids and all of that. Now in 2005, Gramilda finally pressed charges, accusing him of beatings again and also abducting her daughters. Their daughters. She was granted a temporary restraining order, but just a few months later it was lifted. And sadly, in 2012, Gramilda did pass away from her injuries, specifically the tumor in her brain. There were complications and she just didn't make it. So now we kind of have a background of who Ariel and Grimilda are and kind of how they got started and what their life was like once they had kids. I didn't really read a lot about Ariel and Grimilda's other 3 children. The only thing that I knew about was their daughter Arlene, and I'll tell you in just a moment how Arlene fits in this case. Now let's talk about the kidnappings. 21-year-old Michelle Knight disappeared on August 23rd, 2002. After coming home from her cousin's house. Now, Michelle had an interesting background because she was actually taken advantage of physically by another boy when she was young, I believe when she was in high school, and she got pregnant, and when she had the baby, the child was taken away from her. Now, her parents said that she had some sort of disability that made her very naive and trusting. The day of her disappearance, she was supposed to appear in court because she was trying to get custody of her son. At that point, he was in state custody. So people thought it was very strange that she was working hard toward getting her son back, and then the day she was supposed to appear in court, she's not there and no one can get a hold of her. Amanda Berry was 16 years old and she was last seen on April 21st, 2003. She was working at a Burger King, and at the end of her shift, she was going home. It was the day before her 17th birthday, and Ariel stopped by and said, "My son works at this same Burger King. Would you like a ride home?" She then called her family and said, "Hey, I have a ride home," but that's all she said. She then got in the car with Ariel and he kidnapped her. Never get in the car with anyone. I can't stress that enough. And then we have Georgina De Jesus. Georgina went missing around 3 p.m. on April 2nd, 2004. She was only 14 years old and she was really good friends with Arlene, which was Ariel and Grimilda's daughter. Remember? This guy kidnapped his own daughter's best friend. Georgina was walking home from school one day and Ariel saw her, offered her a ride home. She trusted him because she's like, "Hey, this is my best friend's dad. He's gonna take me home, no big deal." And she was kidnapped as well. Now, Arlene was the last person to see Georgina because she was asking her mom, Grimilda, when she was still alive, if she could go to a sleepover at Georgina's house, but Grimilda said no, and the girls parted ways. And that's when Georgina started walking home from school. Ugh. Let me just tell you guys what happened. Michelle was taken first, who was 21, and then you have Amanda Berry, who was taken the day before her 17th birthday, and then you have little Georgina, who was only 14 years old. Ariel, I keep saying Ariel, but maybe his name's Ariel. Ariel sounds so feminine, so I just call him Ariel, okay? Ariel took the 3 girls and he had them in the basement at first, the basement of his home. So these girls are from his neighborhood and he abducted them and took them right down the street in his house. So police are looking for these girls in other countries thinking they've been human trafficked, and all along they're down the road in this guy's basement, and that just blows my mind. It sickens me. Ugh. Anyway, he has all 3 girls in the basement at first and he locks them away. He fed them once a day and they were allowed 1 shower to 2 showers a week, and he abused them in every way, okay? He moved the girls from the basement to the upstairs because remember he had several bedrooms in that home. He gave each of them their own room, and then he would put a slit in the door to where he could pass them food every day. And then as punishment, he would starve them. The 3 of them got really close. They kind of built this bond. They probably tried to build some sort of like friendship or family unit for survival purposes. When one was being punished and starved, the other 2 would sneak her food and water so that she wouldn't die, because he would starve whoever was being punished for 2 weeks at a time. These girls were held captive for over 10 years. 10 years. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Michelle, the one who was taken first, who was 21, she became pregnant by Ariel 5 times at least, she said. But he didn't have a good bonding relationship with her, and he wouldn't allow her to keep the baby. And so he would induce miscarriages by hitting her in the stomach, starving her, just making sure she would indeed have that miscarriage. Amanda, on the other hand, for some reason he liked her more, and she became pregnant, but he allowed her to keep the baby, and she gave birth to a daughter. Now, Ariel told Michelle to deliver Amanda's baby, and if anything happened to that baby and it passed away, Michelle would pay for it. Michelle had no training, no sort of medical training in delivering a baby or anything along those lines, but she successfully delivered Amanda's baby. She gave birth to a daughter, and the baby was loved by Ariel. He took the baby out regularly. He took the baby to his mother's house, saying it was his and his ex-girlfriend's baby. And the baby began to grow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. And the little girl called Ariel daddy and called Ariel's mother grandma. Ariel would take her outside. Neighbors saw him pushing her on the tire swing and them bonding and having an actual, what looked to be a healthy, loving relationship. The daughter was allowed to navigate through the home. I'm sure she had some strict rules, but she wasn't locked away in captivity like her mother and the other 2 girls were. Now, Ariel used to test the girls by unlocking the door and leaving it open just a little bit to kind of give them a sense of hope for freedom, and he would just stay downstairs. And so the girls would peek their heads out, they would start to walk down the stairs quietly, they would look for him, and he would just grab them, take them back upstairs, beat them, and just wanted to show them that he was always in control and that they could never get away, even if they thought they had a chance at freedom. It was just sort of mental conditioning. But one day, the little girl came upstairs and went into her mom's room and told her Daddy went to Grandma's house. Well, Amanda looked at the door. She saw that it was open a little bit. She wanted to go see if he really was at Grandma's house since her daughter told her. So she sticks her head out. She walks down the stairs quietly. She looks around. She doesn't see Ariel. She starts to walk around downstairs and she realizes it's true, he's not home. She looks at the front door and she bolts out of there. She runs to a neighbor's house. She's banging on the door and she's yelling, "Help me, it's me, Amanda Berry." Neighbors were looking at her like, what the heck is going on? Now, mind you, this is a very tight-knit Latin community. Everybody knows everybody. The neighbors eat with each other, and when somebody goes missing, they all come together and they help each other out. Amanda is able to call 911, and let me just tell you, that 911 call was chilling, because you could just hear in her voice the panic, the fear, but also a sense of relief that she got a hold of the police. And she's saying, "My name is Amanda, I'm the missing girl." Now, the sick thing about this, I'm going to list the documentary in the description below, of course, and it's going to have that 911 call on there. It's just crazy that Ariel would allow the girls to watch the news and watch the stories about them, about the missing girls in the community and the search parties and all that. Isn't that twisted? And so Amanda knew to say, "I'm the missing girl. I've been gone for 10 years. I'm free now." Oh, when she said I'm free now, I was bawling. Just a side description of Ariel, he wasn't a quiet, awkward, scary guy. This guy was very charismatic, loving toward his daughter. He was well known in the community. He was well liked in the community. He was very much into music, and he would play with his band at his home. He invited neighbors and friends over to cook with him and eat with him and dance with him. It was a whole thing. And the part that just is the sickest to me, once Ariel found out that all 3 girls were on the news and missing, and people were putting up flyers and the community was trying to find them, he joined the search party to look for the girls. He was the first one to lead his neighbors in prayer, just hoping for the safety of these girls. Just sick. When you watch the documentary, the neighbors and his childhood friends, they're like, he was a great actor, but what a monster. But isn't that how it is? Isn't it always the ones that you least expect? So after Ariel and Grimilda's divorce, that's when Ariel decided to find girls and kidnap them and have them as captives. Ariel later confessed that he was a sex addict. Police found a diary type thing in his home where he said that he's sick and he has a problem and he needs help. He also blamed the victims for getting in the car with him because they should have known better, trying to take responsibility off of himself in the best way he knew how. Maybe that was his way of coping with the guilt. There was a suicide note that police found where he was talking about he didn't have an end plan and that he expected to get caught at some point. Amanda told police Ariel's name and what his car looked like. Police went looking for him and they found him. He was arrested May 6, 2013. And of course, Amanda told police where the house was. And when police first entered the home, they saw a girl upstairs, like kind of peek her head around and look. And he said that she just looked at him for a moment and then came rushing toward him and jumped on him, saying, you saved us, and crying. And the officer's like clearly distraught, and you can hear his voice kind of cracking when he's telling dispatch we found him. You know, it was just such a touching moment, and these girls were so loved and so young, and this was such a tight community. It was just a real moment of relief, and I really felt for them, you know. I felt so happy. So Ariel is finally caught. He's charged with 4 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of rape, and his bail was set at $8 million. He wasn't going anywhere. And he was also charged for his role in the termination of all of Michelle's pregnancies. So that was good to know that they took that into consideration. You're not gonna believe what Ariel says in court. Like his 20 minutes of blah, blah, blah and his explanation for why he was doing what he did. Just listen to this. I couldn't believe it. First, he tries to argue in court that he has sex addiction problems, but the judge cut him off right then and there and said, we'll talk about that at a different date and time. Right now, get out. He was not trying to hear those kind of excuses. He told Ariel, you are not getting out. Do you understand? And Ariel was like, yes, I understand. And then he says, he's addressing the whole court. And he says he did not abuse the women, that the sex was very much consensual, and he did not beat them nor starve them. But then he started apologizing and then blaming and apologizing. He blamed the FBI for not catching him. He blamed the victims, saying that they should have known better to get in the car with him. He even had the audacity to tell the court that he picked up the girls and took them to his home, and when he defiled them, they weren't even virgins. As if that was supposed to make the girls have some type of shame and him look less monstrous. I don't know, but I was like, this isn't helping you. And the last very desperate, very pathetic thing that he said was that he hopes that the girls can find it in their hearts to forgive him because there was a lot of harmony in that home. Ariel was sentenced to consecutive life sentences on top of 1,000 years, all without the possibility of parole, of course. And he was fined $100,000, which the court just took all of his assets and property and gave it to the government. I did forget to mention that Ariel was a school bus driver. Can you believe that? Can you imagine all the kids he could have taken? He was a school bus driver. It's always someone you least expect. And he was well liked. Like the little girls had a crush on him. The neighbors said that the little girls, you know, he'd wink at them and they'd like hee hee hee, and they had like a little crush. I guess that was supposed to be something innocent that they just thought was cute, but yeah, disgusting. And lastly, the home of Ariel Castro was demolished. August 7th, 2013, it was a part of a plea bargain. It's also said that the house has been completely blurred out on Google Maps. The memory of that home doesn't have to be relived every time the girls pass it, considering they probably still lived in that neighborhood. And it was a big celebration, and Michelle was there, and she released yellow balloons, which represented all the missing children. It was a whole thing. All 3 girls have said that they kind of want to remain private on their experience, but we know that Georgina is volunteering for the Amber Alert Committee. She offers comfort to families with abducted children. Amanda joined the staff of Fox 8 in Cleveland, and that's where she hosts short segments of missing people cases. So I thought that was really cool. And Michelle was the only one, I believe, that did an actual interview with People magazine 1 year after her release. She's now married and she has a dream of opening up a restaurant one day. She legally changed her name to Lily Rose Lee, and she's been getting a lot of tattoos, they say. I guess allegedly she's getting all these tattoos to help cope with the healing process. So, hey, to each their own. People heal in their own way, in their own time. And I'm just so happy and thankful that all of them survived. And granted, they have a lot of trauma. They're able to continue with life. Anyway, you guys, what did you think of today's case? Is it just like not your worst childhood nightmare? So on a positive note, I wanted to let you guys know that this is my first time purchasing this candle right here, Autumn Wreath. Oh my goodness, this is the best smelling fall candle. This one and the one that I showed in the last video, it was Comfort Home, Sweet Home. Oh my gosh, what was it? It was in my last video, but these two are the best smelling fall candles. This one's by Yankee. I highly recommend it if you haven't smelt it and you do enjoy warm fall scents. It's a very, very good one. Don't forget to follow me on social media to kind of see my day-to-day super interesting life. I post all kinds of stuff. It's interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to my second channel if you want to support your girl. Again, I will be posting on there next month, starting in October. I've got lots of fall hauls and makeup things and just all kinds of stuff. I'm so excited for October. So make sure you subscribe to my second channel. It's linked in the description below. And I will see you guys on Monday. I almost forgot what day. I'll see you guys on Monday. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.